I was very young. I think it was like 5, and we were driving to Alabama to because that's where my step family's from. And my dad, I do remember this, looked over to my stepmom and said, "Grandpa just died." And she was like, "What?" And then we drove for like another hour, and he got to a phone and called home, and my grandma, his mom, told him, "Hey, yeah, your grandpa just he died 2 hours ago." Uh, and my dad's always kind of like a sixth sense, like, "Hey, something bad's gonna happen," and he's generally pretty right. And that's another one I can't explain at all because he called it pretty much on the hour that he died. Like he said, he's like the thought popped in his head, he felt it, and he verified it.
We've heard those stories from experts that we've had on the podcast. Not only that, but some people can even project like if somebody, a spouse or something, would break an arm or get hurt in an accident or something, and they're still alive.
Mhm.
They can feel that their pain through like their arm or what have you. So it's pretty crazy how that works, and that's just not a beyond the grave thing. That's just a, I don't want to say common, but it happens more than you might think, where they feel their, I guess that's the old I feel your pain thing, taking it literally, right?
Yeah, I mean, me and Eric talked about this a few times at work, like men and women, but like women have that motherly instinct. If your wife ever says go check on the baby, you really should go check on the baby, and he
Sure.
experienced that. And I feel like men, me and him both work in a career field where danger could be present. And we've talked about like, hey, if you ever get that gut feeling as a guy that you don't like this guy, something's off, you should trust it. There's intuition out there you can't explain.
Can I ask what you do?
Yeah, we're both contract police officers for the government, and he's military, so again,
Thank you. Thank you
more
for your
exposed.
service. Thank you for your service.
But
Appreciate
even
it.
then,
Thank you.
just regular guys can go out and you meet a guy and you don't like him, and it turns out that guy's a woman beater. He's you can't explain why you don't like him. He just rubs you the wrong way, gives you a weird sense, and then you find out months later he's pretty bad. And I think that's the sixth sense people have.
Sure. So Eric,
Eric's up there like, hold my beer. I
Eric,
really got something to say here.
it's your turn, Eric.
All right, so I'll start with my fiance and I had bought a house in 2018 up in Wickliffe, Ohio, which is near the lake. Pretty much as soon as we got it, I started feeling an ominous presence in the house. And I vocalized it to my fiance at the time. I was like, hey, I don't know. This place just feels off. You know what I mean? Well, one day I'd come home from work. At the time, I was working as a commercial roofer. And I came home. I went upstairs in the bathroom. And as I'm using the bathroom, I hear a woman's voice downstairs go, hi. And so I answered back. I said, hi, are you on? And I finished my business and I walked out on the landing and I realized that there were no cars in the driveway and no doors had been opened. The house was completely silent. So immediately, heebie-jeebies, like my spidey senses are tingling. So I told her about it and she goes, well, the house, it is old and there's a lot of creaks and groans.